Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Alright, I've got two guitars here, two Gibson SGs, and I'm going to do a comparison because this one is not real and this one is. So let's see what the differences are. It's not the best comparison in the world because this one's painted black and it's not got the sort of transparent finish, so you know, I can't really go into the details about the finishes and stuff, but there is a lot of things between these guitars where you can tell that they're fake. Now, bearing in mind this guitar, new, costs about £1,600, and this one I think was £180 from AliExpress. So, let's have a look at it's actually not bad, you know, it is real mother of pearl in there, but look how wonky that is. Look how off-centre this is. The Gibson logo itself isn't too bad, but if you look at that Gibson logo, I'll try to get it in the light, and then look at that one, and then if you look at the mother of pearl inlay there, you can see the markings in it and how it's perfectly straight in the middle, and then look at the markings of that one. They are slightly different. Right, I'm just going to show you something with my vernier calipers here quickly, okay? I'll try to do this with one hand, it is difficult, but we get it there. It's about 31 millimeters from the center. And then if I put that on the center again, it's really hard with one hand. You see it's 31 millimeters on the other side, and about 34 to the center on that side. So whoever's put that in, what were you thinking? Even for that price, I mean, come on, at least get it straight. It has got the Made in USA thing on the back, and it did have a serial number on, which I've put some epoxy over the serial number. If we look at the backs as well, you can see the shapes do look close, but they're not exact. You can see the shapes are not exact. There is some slight differences in the whole body shape of the fake one, but it's pretty close. And if you look at the top of the headstock there, and then if you look at the fake one, it's not as pronounced. You can't see the sort of, I know this one's painted, it's got thick paint on, so it's not going to be as pronounced. That could be one of the reasons, but you can see it's a lot more smooth. You can just see it doesn't sort of have the sort of little wings on the sides there like this one does, and it doesn't go down as much in the middle. I'm going to see actually if the headstocks are the same width. Let's have a look. Let's just say 78.5, 76, well, 77 basically. So it's not far off, it's within a millimeter of tolerance, which is passable. Yeah, there's not a lot of difference. Obviously you can see on the fake one, the cavity hole on the back is a lot bigger than the real one. Now, I'm not an expert on Gibson SGs, so different models might have different size, you know, rear plastics, and might have different size things on various parts of the guitar. I don't really know because I'm not an expert on Gibson SGs, but this is just a quick rundown to show you the differences. One of the main differences I can see is you can see the quality of the wood on the fretboard on the real one compared to the quality of the wood on the fake one. And I'm not even saying this one's bad. It's actually not that bad. You can see you've got the nibs here on the real one, and there's no nibs on the fake one. It's just Are you finished?
Not yet.
Right. Another thing is the bridge and the tailpiece. Obviously on the fake one, the bridge and the tailpiece, I haven't got them with us now, but oh God, you've got look at the font. Pay attention to the font on the poker chip there, right? And now look at the font on the real one. See how it's different? It's smaller and it's closer together, where that one's almost the width of the poker chip there. So you can see as well, if you look at the control knobs there, and then look where the spacing is from the tone to the input jack. You've got probably, let's measure it just to be sure. Right, what have we got there? We've got a gap spacing of 17 millimeters, right? Now look, on the real one, the gap spacing is actually really small. It's only about 9 millimeters on the real one. So you see there's very small differences that you wouldn't really necessarily notice. Even the cutout on the side there, if you look at this one, it's very shallow, like it only comes in maybe 12 millimeters, where on the real one it comes in probably 20 millimeters. It's shaped differently. Now that could be depending on the model, I'm not 100% sure on that. And obviously, if you are getting a fake one, you're going to get some cheap pickups in it. They're just going to be generic cheap pickups. They're not going to have anything written on the back, where these ones have got Gibson USA written on the back. Obviously the pots in this one are not too bad actually. They're not those, well actually I'll open it up and show you. I've took the back plate off, and inside you can see you've got these teeny little pots. Look at the size of them. Which obviously aren't made by Gibson, are they? But they work perfectly fine. They sound all right. Not too bad. This is what the fake bridge looks like. It's open on the bottom. No logos or anything, just a run-of-the-mill cheap fake bridge. Actually, it's really light compared to the real ones. The real ones, you can feel the weight in them, and this one is just really light. Obviously, just a cheapie, and these are the fake Grovers that were on it. I've just took them off to inspect them, but you can see the seam down the middle. I'll try to get that in the light so you can see it. You see the seam down the middle there, down the middle of the join. You won't see that on a real Grover. You can see it better there. You see the seam down the middle of the tuner there? Right, and it feels light, it feels plasticky when you tap it with your thumbnail. It feels very plasticky. It's just obviously not a real Grover. But you're not going to get a real set of Grovers on a £160 guitar, are you? Just look at the font on the Made in USA. Obviously that is fake. You don't get that type of font. That is the real one. Made in USA, 2008. And that's the fakey one with the epoxied out serial number. Yeah, so my honest opinion on these is for £180 or whatever that was. I think it was £180. It might be even been cheaper than that. It might have been 160. It ain't a bad guitar. A lot of these cheapy Chinese guitars use mahogany bodies. I'm not sure what the neck is, but if I look down there, it's really hard to tell what type of wood it is when it's painted like that, but I don't know what the neck's made of. The fretboard ain't too bad. It's your run-of-the-mill cheap sort of fretboard, but it isn't the worst thing in the world. If you leveled that and, you know, crowned it and polished it all up and that, give it a bit of oil, it would be decent enough. The nut's actually not too bad either. Real bone nut possibly. I'm not sure, but oh, you can also see it's got the Allen bit truss rod rather than the bullet shape that you get on the real one, which is like a little brass bullet that sticks out. It's like a little brass tip that sticks out of there on the real one. But the price difference, right? The price difference is what matters, because not everyone can go out and spend £1,600 on a real Gibson, which I got this one for 700 because it's a bit relic, right? But would you pay 700 for that, or would you pay near enough 200 for that one? I'd still go for that one. I'd still pay the 700 for the real one. And it's one of those things that if you just bought this as a beginner and you had never picked up a guitar in your life, you'd probably think this is pretty good. You know, it's made quite well. It's got a quite nice finish on it. The paint and everything's not bad. The pickups are not bad. They don't even sound bad. The neck's fine. A little bit of a wonky logo, but that doesn't stop you playing it. you know, it's totally fine for the money. You wouldn't even complain, really. It's not bad. But then if you go and pick up one of these, you're going to think, Jesus, this is incredible. Like, this is so much better. But you have to have them side by side. If you're a beginner, I'm saying, not if you know what you're doing, obviously. If you've been playing Gibsons for years, you're obviously going to pick that up and think, this is shit. But I'm talking about people who are just starting guitar, starting to learn, whatever. They want that first little cheap guitar to practice on. Would this be a good option? I would say definitely yes. It is a really, really good guitar for the price. If you're paying anything below £200 for that, you're doing all right. Honestly, it ain't that bad. And it looks cool as well. Let's face it, it still looks good. It's a good looking guitar, plays well, made out of decent materials. And you could upgrade parts on this as you go, you know. You might play it for a while, you might upgrade the pickups later on, you might put some new tuners on it, you might get some locking tuners or whatever. You can get cheap ones now, you can get Geiger ones, you can get Gotos, you can get whatever. Gotos are not that cheap actually, they're quite expensive, but there's all sorts on the market now for aftermarket parts. You can pick things up pretty cheap if you really wanted to. But honestly, for this, I wouldn't even bother. What it's got on from delivery, from standard, is pretty much all right. All you need to do is a setup on it, oil the neck, level the frets, set it up, and it's good to go. Not bad at all. Does it compare to a real Gibson SG? No, it doesn't, obviously. It's not as good in any way, shape or form. And obviously, if you want to take guitar seriously, you want to go and get one of these, because this is just incredible. And you will find out when you buy one how good they actually are. And they feel amazing, play amazing. They just are amazing. There you go, guys. That is a comparison between a real and a fake Gibson SG. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and leave your comments below. What do you think? Would you go for one of these? If you want a cheap guitar to mess around on, would you consider getting one of these from AliExpress? Or would you rather save up your pocket money and go for one of these beauties? It's entirely up to you. Do what you want. That's what I say. Cheers.